Hey guys, welcome to this week's video. Today I'm gonna give you a Photoshop tutorial on how to make a GIF, or GIF, however you pronounce it. So this is something that a lot of wedding and couples photographers love to do to provide to their couples in their gallery for just something like additional and fun. I love to do it with portraits sometimes, and I recently shared a tutorial in a reel on my Instagram on the camera settings I like to use when shooting a bunch of images that I know that I'm gonna combine into a GIF afterwards. To kind of just recap, I love to shoot in servo mode on my camera so that it tracks my subject's face while they're moving. I make sure I'm in high-speed continuous mode so I can really slam that shutter and get a ton of shots. And then I personally like to edit in Lightroom first before I take them into Photoshop. So I'll take all of the images that I want to combine to a GIF. I'll select the ones to add to the GIF. It could be all of them. It could be just a couple of them. I'll make my selects and then I'll go ahead and edit one of those images. I'll apply all of my color and lighting changes, and then I'll copy those edits from that one image and paste it onto the rest of them in that series. So one thing to note is that if the image that you're wanting to turn into a GIF requires a lot of retouching, it might look funny in the GIF that you make. So I usually do this for images that I don't need to do a lot of retouching to for that reason. So I'm gonna show you guys how I do this on a couple of images that I took in Europe last year. Okay, so here I am in my gallery, and I'm gonna be using these images from this one to this one. So that is, how many images is that total? 7 images total. So not that many. Honestly, the more images you have in a GIF, the better it will look. So this one's gonna be a pretty short one, but you can see as I flip through them in the gallery here, my hair moves. They were taken really quickly. So this is just gonna be like a really simple tutorial on how to do it on just a couple of images. So I've already applied my edits, as you can see. I didn't do any retouching to like the walls here, because if I did, I'd have to make sure it's like exactly the same in each one, and that could be challenging. So again, retouching makes it hard, especially with like the people in the background. So this is just a tutorial on how to make a GIF. So the first thing I'm gonna do is export these images into a folder onto my desktop. So I'm gonna select all 7 of them. I'm gonna choose export. I'm gonna choose JPEG. I'll do small. Honestly, like if you want it to be higher quality, you would do full size, but just for the point of this tutorial and because it's just going on web, I'm gonna do small. So now what I'm gonna do is wait for them to export first and then open Photoshop. Okay, so once you're in Photoshop, what you're gonna do is click File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack. And then I'm gonna click Browse and choose that folder on my desktop and select all of the images and click Open. You can see that they're all here in order because they're numbered, and that's important. You wanna make sure that when you export them from Lightroom that they are numbered so you can tell which order they go in, because when you're importing a ton of images to a GIF, it's gonna be really hard to tell which one is which, and you wanna make sure that they're numbered for that reason. So when you click OK, it's gonna take a while to load them all here as different layers, depending again on how large the images are and how many there are. So just give it some time to load. It may take a while. And if it's not already showing, you'll go to Window, Timeline. And once you click Timeline, it will bring up the timeline down here at the bottom. And it might be defaulted to say Create Video Timeline down here, but you wanna make sure it says Create Frame Animation. So choose that and then just click the button. And it's gonna add the first image in your file here to the timeline. So in order to get each of these images as a frame into the timeline, which is what you want, you're gonna click this little hamburger 3-line icon right here, and you're going to click Make Frames from Layers. Once you do that, you can see that it's added all 7 of my images in order here. It should. Let's see. Okay, after closer inspection, I can see that it added the images in the opposite order. So it's starting with the 7th image here and ending at the first image. If you want to fix that, just select all of the frames by clicking the first one, holding Shift, and clicking the last one. Click this icon again and choose Reverse Frames. Now it's in the correct order with Marina 1 at the front and Marina 7 at the end, and it's still in the correct order. This is the timeline of your GIF. If you hit this play button, it will play in order your timeline, aka your GIF. But right now you can see it's defaulted to each one lasting 0 seconds. So I need to change that. If you click the little arrow right here next to it, it will give you options. You could make each one 0.1 seconds, 0.2, 0.5, but you could do a custom amount as well. You could click Other and type in exactly how long you want each frame to last. So the point is to have each frame last the same amount of time, and the amount of time that you choose will decide if the GIF plays really quickly or really slowly. So let's just play around and see what it looks like. Let's start at 0.5. You gotta hit stop to make it stop or it'll keep going. I just realized I only did it to the first one and not all of them. So I'm gonna go ahead and select all, again by holding Shift, and choose 0.5, so it's done it for all of them at once, and let's hit play. Okay, this is really slow. I don't like that, so let's do it faster. Let's try 0.2 and see if that's a good amount. That's pretty cute. I still think it's too slow though. So I'm gonna hit stop, Try it again, and let's do 0.1. Okay, I think that's perfect. Honestly, I think 0.1 seconds is like kind of the sweet spot for GIF. So I usually do my GIFs at 0.1 second. My GIF is done. That's pretty much it. But there are a couple things to consider when exporting. So the first is what type of file you want to export it as. If you want to actually export it as a GIF file, you could just go ahead right now, you're done, and go to File, Export, Save for Web. And this pop-up may take a while to load, just depending on, again, how large the images are in your GIF, how many of them are, your computer, the specs of your computer. Like when I used to have my old iMac, when I was exporting GIFs, it took so long because my computer was so old. Now my MacBook works really fast because I have an M1 chip one and it's great, but just keep in mind that this may be really slow on your computer depending on all of those things. It'll default here to GIF, which is perfect. And then this is where you can resize. Again, remember I exported these images from Lightroom as small file sizes. So right now the width of my image is 1300 pixels, the height is 2048. So this is a good like web size. This is a pretty small image, pretty small GIF, and you can see the file size here is only 9 megabytes. So this is pretty good for like web sharing. If you export your images as really large images, this could be huge, and I would recommend downsizing. So you could go ahead and click width and change it to 1000, and then you can go ahead and click done and save it, and it will be a smaller file size. So this is how you export a GIF. I'm gonna go ahead and click save it to my desktop, into that folder, save. And sometimes, again, exporting it can be slow. If you're saving it as a GIF, then you're done. That's great. That's great to add to your website if you can add GIF files to your website. But for the most part, if you're creating a GIF like this for a client or to share on social media, you're gonna need it as a video file, not a GIF file, because you cannot share GIF files on Instagram, for example. So if you want to create this as a video file, you're going to have to do something different in the timeline. And that is because if I were to go ahead and export this as a video file, it would be like 1 second long. Not even 1 second long. It would be 0.7 seconds long, which is super short. And you wouldn't even be able to share that on Instagram, because I believe, if this is still accurate, the minimum video length to share like as a post on Instagram is 4 seconds. So this wouldn't even be shareable on Instagram. So you're going to need to make your video longer. In order to do that, you need to just repeat the frames in your timeline a few times so that it gets to be at least 4 seconds long. So I'm gonna need to repeat these frames like 5 or 6 times so the GIF repeats multiple times so that it's at least 4 seconds for sharing on Instagram. So I'm gonna go ahead and select 1, shift, select 7, so all of my frames are selected. And then to repeat them, I'm just gonna click and drag into this little plus size icon right here next to the trash can, and that will repeat them. So I could go ahead and just do that again a few more times if I want. If I wanna make it easier, I could select 1 through 14 and then double it. So now there's 28 frames. Maybe I'll do it one more time, double that. So it's a longer video. So now there's 56 frames, and it's the same one. It's just repeating over and over and over again. If I hit play, you can see that because I have it on repeat forever. So now I'm ready to export this as a video. So in order to do that, I'm gonna do File, Export, and instead of doing Save for Web or Export As, I'm gonna do Render Video. So I'll choose which folder I want to export this into, and then just make sure the document size is accurate. This is the original size of the document. I'm good to go. I have it exported at high quality, and I'm gonna click Render. Rendering this may, again, take a really long time depending on how big your files are or how many there are. So let me go back to my folder and see the final results. So I'm gonna click on my GIF. Let's watch it. It looks great. Look at it repeating. It looks fabulous. Even exported at this small file size, like it looks really good. Like it still looks really high quality, which is great. Now let's check out the video. So with 56 frames exported, it's still only 6 seconds long. So just remember that you may need to repeat your frames a lot of times if your GIF is really short like mine and only has 7 frames. So let's watch that. So there's my video, and it looks great too. So now you can go ahead and upload this video to your galleries for your clients, airdrop it to your phone if you have a Mac to share on Instagram, and you are good to go. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this tutorial on how to create a GIF. If you guys have any questions about this, please let me know in the comments, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Bye.